Hello, welcome to Exclam Chess. And in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Sicilian Defense, and specifically a move that a viewer wanted me to look at in the Sicilian Defense, and wanted to see what I thought about this move. Okay, so after e4, c5, e5, what do I think of that? And so, what I think of this move. I myself, if I was playing as black, I wouldn't mind this. Because I would say, well, I'll just play something like knight c6, and if f4, then I can just, play something like d5. I wouldn't be scared of him taking en passant, because then I can just develop out my queen, and then I got 2 pieces developed to white's 0 pieces developed. Or if we go back, say, just a normal development move like knight to f3, then I can just get up my bishop, and then after something like this, maybe, I don't know, I would say, just develop out my knight. I can get to this nice f5 square that was weakened by e5 being pushed, and then I'm getting some pretty nice squares through my pieces. Play e6, get out my bishop eventually, maybe, and then castle, and then I'd feel pretty comfortable as black. And so I wouldn't be too concerned about this. And so what I think is, I don't think it's the best way for white to challenge black out of the opening. I think that there are some better ways to go about that. But if all of the people you play against always make that same mistake, to the viewer who suggested I take a look at this, if that's your opponents always make the next mistake after that, and they don't know what to do, well, then keep playing it, because if it works for you, that's all that really matters. But what I would suggest, and this is what I used to play all the time, I recently started playing the Open Sicilian, but this is something that's really, I think, a good choice for white. Just play knight to c3 and go for the Closed Sicilian. And I specifically played the chameleon variation. And this is really good, I think, because there's not a lot of theory that you need to know. You don't need to know a lot of, after black goes here, then white's next best move is this, and you don't need to know all of that. It's much more reasonable in this type of Sicilian to just understand the basic plans and try to understand those and learn them. And with that information, you can have a good game. And so, usually, let's see what would maybe happen. Something like this is kind of the basic thing. You still get the option of playing d4 as well, and then you can go into an Open Sicilian. That's why it's called the chameleon, because you can kind of choose. You haven't showed your hand yet. Usually after something like d6, g3, g6, bishop g3, bishop g2, sorry. And it kind of starts to resemble a King's Indian attack or a King's Indian defense a little bit. After a few more moves, let's just keep going. And so you can kind of see the plan for white is he's just going to start pushing his pawns eventually and try to eventually get an attack on the king side. And black, his pawns are pointing towards the queen side, so he's going to try to gain space with moves like b5 and stuff like that, and try to create a plan on the queen side. And so that's kind of typically what happens in this type of position, things like this. And then you can get some pawn pushes in, and I had great success with this myself. And you don't really have to worry about weakening your king. You can kind of just push your pawns, because this is your side of the board on the king side. This is where you're playing. Black's going to go off the queen side, and you're going to play on the king side. And I did that a number of times, and I had a good time with that. And like I said, not a lot of theory, so kind of makes it a little bit easier to learn. You don't have to remember pages of analysis to play it. And in addition, I think that it would throw off players of the Sicilian because they're used to a fighting game with a lot of tactics, and this is more positional. And at least I noticed it seemed to mess with their usual planning a little bit. At least that's what I noticed in my games. And so this would be a good suggestion, I think, for most players, because it's not a lot of theory, and you won't have to spend hours learning all the theory to it. Okay, yeah, so once again, this is called Closed Sicilian. This is something that I highly recommend looking into. It's a good choice against Sicilian, and I've actually been thinking about going back to it instead of playing my open Sicilian against it. Okay, yeah, so that's all for this video. Maybe at some point I'll get a chance to do a video about the open Sicilian as well. Yeah, but that'll be in the future. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.